Hello everyone and welcome back to Weekly How. My name is Bernard, or maybe should I say Monthly How, because right now I just upload one video per month. Today I want to share with you all 7 NPM libraries that are very helpful for making web applications. And honestly, they are so good that I always use them for my web applications. And no, I'm not talking about your libraries like React, Express.js, Vue.js. No, I'm not talking about those frameworks. Well, I'll be giving you are much better than those. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, my name is Bernard and welcome to Weekly How. We talk about programming and why you should quit. We used to be very positive with this channel. Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Without further ado, let's begin. First on the spot is git-remove-branches. This is honestly one of the libraries or funny libraries that I've encountered from my work or from my internship. But basically, this library will remove or delete the branches that no longer exist from your remote. So if you have a project with so many local branches and the remote branches doesn't have those branches anymore, now if you execute this command, this git remove branches, it will remove those branches that no longer exist from your remote, which is honestly very useful. Instead of using git branch delete flag, with just one command, those branches will be gone. And honestly, this is one of those libraries that I really like using. I know it's not something that you will be using inside of your project, it's more like a utility, but it's a good utility. Next spot on the list is the UUID. So this library is used to generate unique identifiers for different use cases. So for example, if you're not using relational databases, then you can use UUID to generate unique identifiers. For example, for your products, for your collections, or even for profiles. It's honestly very straightforward, very lightweight, and all you need to do is just to install it, use one line of code like this, and you're pretty much good to go. Most of the time, I use this library to add unique identifiers to my sections. So say for example, I have the following section and I need to pass an ID attribute with a unique identifier. This is basically how I use it. And then I can reference that section with that unique identifier. Third one on the list is called Lodash. So Lodash is a utility library used for manipulating objects, arrays, or data. So say for example, you can use Lodash difference function to create an array or to filter out a value from an array that is not included in the other given array. So for example, we have two arrays here. The first array have values 2 and 1, and in the second array, we have values 2 and 3. Now, if we use the difference function for these two arrays, we'll get an array with a value of 1. And that is because 1 is not in the second array. Now, obviously, there are plenty more functions that you can use with Lodash, but essentially that's how it works. You can manipulate arrays, data, objects using Lodash. Number 4 in the list is called Chalk. So Chalk is a really fun library that I use when logging states like success or failures. If it's failure, then I will use color red as a background. And then if it's successful, then I will use green. So yeah, this is more like a library to add colors to your command line output. Some developer would probably say that you don't really need this because it's just a log for debugging. You're gonna delete it anyway later on. And I agree, but I'd honestly prefer to have fun with my errors because we all know how devastating it is to see errors. So might as well make it pretty. Now the next library on the list is called Turbo Repo. So Turbo Repo is an intelligent build system and one of the best tools for monorepo. I can't even speak anymore. In the future, I'll talk about monorepos and how beneficial it is. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see that. But basically, Turbo Repo provides amazing features like fast building of your projects because your builds are being cached. To me, that is honestly very useful because say for example, you have a humongous project with so many tasks. So without Turbo Repo, it can waste or take so much time to be built. So if you're using Turbo Repo and if the task of your projects already processed, then on your next build, it's going to be much faster because they're already cached your previous task. Next up on the list is called Jotai. So Jotai is another library that I've encountered from my work, from my internship, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually impressed by how they manage my states. Okay, so basically Jotai is a state management library that allows you to create states and share those states throughout your entire application with just one context. So if you have worked with React before, you can create states using useState hooks, right? And if you want to share the state to with another component, then you will have to use a context by creating context. Now the problem with this is that the more state or context that you create, the more it's going to be messy because it's nesting those contexts, and that's what Jotai is trying to avoid. So with Jotai, you can use one context and then share the states throughout your application. Next up on the list is, honestly, I don't know how to pronounce this knowing French. Is it Joie or Joy? Okay, let's go with Joy. So basically, Joy is a data validation library for JavaScript. It's particularly useful when dealing with users' input and making sure that the data your application receives conforms or follows a specific schema. So for example, here we have a schema with first name, last name, email address, and password. And for each of this, we are ensuring that they are all strings and they are required. Meaning if the user decides to not put their first name, then you'll receive an error like username or first name is required. Same goes with email. If the user don't have the, for example, @gmail.com, then it's not an email, hence producing an error. So yeah, basically this library is for validating forms, which reminds me of that game. What is that game again? Like you need to put the password game. Forget the freaking name, what's the name of that? And that's pretty much it for this video. These libraries might not be as glamorous as other libraries, but they can make a significant difference in your development workflow and the quality of your applications. So yeah, give them a try, and if you try them, let me know in the comments below what do you think about it. And if you have libraries that were not mentioned in this video, you can try it as well, sharing it in the comments below, and I'd love to look at them and try them myself. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I wish you all happy Halloween, and I will see you guys on Christmas. WeeklyHow.